What were some of the worst experiences you have had while working in the fast food industry? Story 1. I worked at Starbucks and a woman ordered her coffee at 140 degrees in the drive-thru. She walks back in the cafe after pulling out and complains that her coffee was 139 degrees because she has a thermometer in her car and she demands it be remade. I laughed at her and asked if she was joking, and she demanded to see my manager. My manager remade it, but I didn't get in any trouble. She was ridiculous, but Starbucks policy is to remake anything if a customer asked for it. Another time there was a long wait during rush hour in the morning and I apologized to a guy that it was taking a long time to get his white mocha to him. He glared at me and yelled, "You don't really mean you're sorry," and refused to be cordial. He continued to look at me with disdain for the next few minutes. It made me super sad at the time. I really was sorry. I learned not to be affected by terrible people so much as I got older. Story 2. I worked at a pizza place with my then girlfriend and some lady had a walk-in order. She tells me what she wants, I tell her the price, she gives me money. I look down and I don't have a key for the till, my girlfriend does, so I get her and come back to the customer ranting that I stole her money. We argue for a bit and she starts pulling out her phone. Her money was on the counter under her purse the whole damn time. She just stopped arguing and paid for the pizza. Didn't even apologize for needlessly accusing me. And of course she didn't tip. Story 3. Had a dude puke all over the floor. His wife came up to me and said, "I swear to God, my husband threw up on the floor, so if you could clean that up, that would be great." They moved the tables and continued eating their lunch and watch while I, lucky fast food employee, cleaned up fresh vomit. Unbelievable. Story 4. I worked at a McDonald's when I was 15. One of the managers there was a 25 to 30-year-old guy who seemed to thrive on flexing his managerial power over the young men who worked there and also hitting on all the underaged female employees. This McDonald's was situated between two busy roads and had a long access road from the further one up to the back of the building. One day, middle of the summer, 95 degrees and humid out, he decided that I should have to go out and walk this road picking up the cigarette butts that people had thrown out on the road. About halfway through my half-mile journey, he drove by waving and smiling at me with one of the girls in his car. Next day I called him a cunt and quit. Story 5. Not fast food, but while I was working at a chain grocery store, a middle-aged woman was pushing her cart through the parking lot when she lost control of it going downhill and it slammed into someone's car whilst they were in it. She attempted to blame me, who had been a few feet away from her, for pushing her cart full of groceries into the car when the person went to confront her. Luckily, the person saw through her blaming it on me and proceeded to ask her again if the cart full of groceries were hers. When she repeated it wasn't, he shrugged and said, "Guess it's no one's," then proceeds to load all of the groceries from her cart and putting it in his car before leaving, all while she had to stand there and say nothing. If that car owner was an idiot, it could have turned real different for me. Story 6. I was 16, working front line as a cashier. A man walked up and, instead of ordering, he started talking about how his daughter was in vet school. I smile, nod, say something like, "That sounds nice." He then responds with, "Yes, she did something with her life, unlike you." Story 7. I worked at McDonald's and my coworker dropped a whole tray of burgers on the floor, picked them all up, put them back in the tray, and made orders with them. Anyone who's worked there knows how beautiful those floors are. Never ate McDonald's again, and that was 8 years ago. Story 8. On Boxing Day, a lady had a massive go at us for not having our outdoor furniture out because there was glass on the floor. A customer once blocked the disabled toilet and didn't tell anyone, resulting in the entire thing flooding. Took a colleague over 2 hours to sort out. Most amusing was a staff error. The dishwasher had been full of foam after every wash for a couple of weeks and no one could figure out why. Turns out a colleague had put floor cleaner in it instead of the dish cleaner. Story 9. I work at a certain mermaid-themed coffee chain. Our drive-thru has cameras where we can see the customer order and they can see us if we have our camera on. One day, I was trying to take a customer's order and I noticed the girl, who is the driver, is acting very strangely. She is having a hard time speaking coherently and keeps making vaguely sexual noises. While I'm talking with her, I'm not actually at the order screen as I'm doing side tasks. Because of her odd speech, I stop doing what I'm doing and go to the DT to finish taking her order. I look at the customer through the camera and I realize why she's having issue speaking. Her boyfriend is in the passenger seat fingering her. I was so shocked that this was happening, and I had to take my headset off and walk away. I didn't tell my coworker who was working in the window with me what was going on, but I made them finish with this customer. It was only after the fact that I told her what happened. Bear in mind this occurred around 8 a.m. on a Sunday. Story 10. I had just started working in McDonald's. Only been there about a month at this point. At this point, I had only been trained to work in the kitchen. One day, the person who was supposed to be out on the lobby wiping tables and all had called in sick. It was quiet, so they got me to do it, which was fine. About 2 hours in, a woman comes up to me and mumbles something about something disgusting outside. So, without asking again what it was, I said, "Thank you for letting me know, I'll go out and have a look at it in a minute once I'm finished changing these bins." After changing the bins, I go outside to discover a perfect log of crap sitting in a chicken nuggets box with a barbecue dip and a note that said, "Mac F you." Story 11. Not fast food, but a gas station. My coworker decided to clean the coffee machines. Normally, we have a special cleaner, but she used bleach. Just filled them with bleach, emptied them, and rinsed them out. If I hadn't have noticed the bleach smell from the morning coffee, we might have had somebody drink bleach water. Story 12. When I worked at a coffee drive-thru, there were so many people who would try to hand me random trash from their car. We had a trash can a little ways down. I would tell them I couldn't touch their trash since that's a health code violation because I'm handling their drinks and food. So I would usually point out that a can is close by. I was surprised by how many people expressed how inconvenient that was when I was specifically trying to do something good for them and, not be gross. Story 13. At the pizza place I worked at, we had a pizza that came with shrimp, but only if people specifically asked for it. So naturally, barely anyone ever ordered the shrimp on their pizza. In the pizza prep area, the shrimp would just sit there for days on end, getting frozen every night and thawed out every morning. And whenever a blue moon would happen and someone would order the shrimp pizza, they'd get like 2-week-old shrimp on their pizza. Makes me wonder what kind of iron stomach these people have. Story 14. Customers. Had one lady who claimed we messed up her order. She called the store an hour after she left and said she was coming back and she wanted her order done again plus her money back. Wouldn't take no for an answer. Eventually, I passed her off to the district manager. It was ridiculous. Story 15. One of our managers started choking a coworker in the drive-through window, full view of customers. Said coworker was supposed to be my relief, but she was 20 minutes late and apparently the two of them exchanged words immediately before the incident. That manager had a history of aggressive behavior. She tried to tackle me, literally, on my first day. I'm pretty sure only being short and hippie and thus a low center of gravity saved me from going into the fryer and was immediately fired. They didn't press charges though, I'm not sure why, and the fired manager called everyone who worked there to cry about how it was all our fault for not supporting her and getting her fired. She was hired to manage Burger King 2 weeks later. Story 16. Money was going missing, and as the newest employee I was suspect number 1. My boss was a great guy and my coworkers were very loyal to him, so I started getting death threats. Eventually, it was confirmed to be a different worker and everyone apologized. Still sucked though. Story 17. I don't know if any of you remember the grilled onion cheddar burger that McDonald's used to serve, but we used to keep the grilled onions in a heated tray in the grill area. One of the guys I used to work with at McDonald's came in one day all pissy. He used to chew tobacco while working, which was gross enough as it is. Well, he got caught on camera spitting his chew into the grilled onion tray. I think he got away with doing that almost his whole shift until someone saw the tape in the manager's office. He was fired on the spot. I'm not sure what they did about the burgers that went out served like that. Story 18. I managed a breakfast joint for a while, beginning a few months after it originally opened. We have a very large oven where we bake our bagels, and one day, after the bagels had been baked for the day, the baker left the door open to cool. While I was up front, the restaurant, and I could hear a deafening, "Holy crap," from the back where the oven was. I walked back laughing, expecting to see a proofing rack knocked over or some other stupid mistake. Instead, I'm hit with a geyser of jet black water from the sprinkler system above the oven. Well, shouting resumed as we tried to cover what we could while waiting for the fire department to arrive. Fire department arrived, and they spent the next 2.5 hours looking for the shut-off switch for our sprinkler. Turns out the switch had been inadvertently obstructed during the building's our store's construction. I got to stay late that day and help clean every ounce of black, smelly water from our appliances and slicers. Story 19. I had a very short stint working at the Golden Arches. The soda machine was literally never cleaned. On my first closing shift, I went to take the nozzles off the soda machine and there was mold literally caked around the inside of each nozzle. The manager told me that the constant stream of soda kept the machine clean, so it wasn't necessary to remove the nozzles. Bullcrap. I can't drink soda from McDonald's or any other fast food place anymore. Story 20. I worked night shift at a Krispy Kreme. It was always just me and the manager. She never helped. She'd just go in the office to do paperwork and leave me alone for 8 hours to make everything. Because I knew she'd leave me alone, I'd take the trash out multiple times a night for a smoke sesh. Well, one night I come back in from my smoke sesh and notice the conveyor for the OG glazed is starting to rattle pretty badly. There's several things you needed to turn off prior to stopping the conveyor. I turn all of those off, but for some reason the conveyor is in a weird dieseling state where it continues to run, but is disconnected from power. I start to panic. The conveyor keeps going and continues to get louder. I start pounding on the manager's office door, but she won't answer. Silly thing is starting to fall apart and my baked ass can't handle this. I finally shoulder charge her office door down, screaming, "What the heck? I need help," but she isn't in there. I look on her security screens to find her car isn't even in the parking lot. Once I realized that it was gone, the conveyor finally went. The motor took out one end of the conveyor line and gallons of 100% pork lard fryer oil covered the floor of the entire kitchen. I called the off-duty manager, told him what just happened, said screw this, I'm done, and just left. If you've gotten this far and enjoying the content, please leave a comment of your own story. We'd love to make a video of them in the future. Story 21. Someone said, "Give me some of those fresh-baked cookies, I can smell you baking them." First of all, we just reheat frozen ones, and secondly, we just put one in the microwave for a guest who asked us to. When we told him this, he started to yell, then walked behind the counter to go check. I called my manager and he started to push her around to go check, screaming, "I want my fresh cookies." He then tried to hit on one of our team members in the back, then took off his shirt and screamed when she asked him to go away. We had to escort him out after calling the police. Story 22. During my winter break in college, back home, I once had an irresponsible manager at Burger King say she would be right back. Not only did I have to work both the drive-thru and the main cash register, we only had 2 workers in the kitchen who spoke little English. It was a complete crapfest, but I was impressed on how we somehow managed to get everyone their food during the insane lunch rush hour. The worst part is she came back hours later and acted like nothing was wrong. I quit shortly after that, even though she begged me to stay. Effer. Story 23. I went to hand a drink out the drive-thru window and the jackass in the car threw a large blue Powerade all over me. My manager said if I went home early due to being soaked, I was fired. Story 24. I worked at a Cane's Chicken around graduation season. He had massive catering orders, like 600 chicken fingers, 500 pieces of toast, 250 coleslaws. Multiple orders like this on the same day while also being our busiest day of the week. We were going nuts, even the owner was there to help. Of course, this is the day corporate decides to make a surprise visit. The owner got reamed even though we were consistently scoring as one of the top locations on a regular day. So, he reamed the manager, who then reamed us. So we're already stressed out and tired, and now we're being shouted at by irate customers, the owner, and our manager. I'm surprised we didn't all quit that day. Story 25. Worked a Burger King a while back that stayed open till 2 a.m. One manager was actually a reasonable person and was an older lady that clearly paid her dues to the company. At my store we only had 2 closers, so from about 10 to 3 a.m. it was just me and that manager. The night I put my 2 weeks in, she is just grumpy and teary-eyed looking at her phone, and she's not usually the manager who does that. Her eldest was going into a complicated premature labor and nobody could help her. No area manager wanted to come out that late. Corporate didn't care because that was part of the job. She was crying all night until we closed. Busted out of there 10 minutes after closing time, and we broke so many rules. Screw corporate people who think you have to take your time away from your children for crappy burgers. Story 26. I used to work in a bakery in a grocery store. I was the cake decorator, and the cakes were in containers and in a cooler that customers could just take and go to pay. 2 kids, 6 and 8 years old, ran over and started throwing the cakes on the ground. Like a happy birthday to the grounder style. They were on their 6th cake before I could reach them and took the cakes from their hands. Their mom came over, turned the kids around and started walking towards the produce section like nothing happened. No apology, no acknowledgement, no words to the kids about the $100s of dollars they just cost us and my time. Story 27. Was 15 and working for the Golden Arches in a big 2-story city location. An elderly lady came in to use the upstairs toilet, and when she came back down, she had poop caked all over her hands, which she dragged down the banister she used to steady herself on down the stairs. She then went and sat at a table for a moment before leaving. She clearly had dementia, although I didn't recognize that at the time. I was sent to the bathroom to investigate the damage, and it was a literal crap show. I reported back to my manager, who told me I had to clean it all up. No thanks. I quit on the spot. I was not cleaning up crap for $4.85 an hour. Story 28. Literally had a 17-year-old kid die in my arms. I was 19 and working at KFC in a bit of a rough area. It was a quiet day shift, so there were only 3 staff and no customers in the store at the time. A young couple, who looked pretty messed up, walked in and went straight to the bathrooms. After some time, the girl came out screaming for help. She said her boyfriend had gone into the bathroom to use heroin and he was not responding and was inside the locked men's room. My manager called an ambulance while I tried to get the door open. Couldn't kick it down like Chuck Norris, so I went and grabbed some tools and finally got it open. Found the kid, blue and cold on the floor. His pulse was faint. There was a syringe next to him. He had blood in his mouth, so I couldn't make mouth-to-mouth contact and started administering chest compressions. The whole time his girlfriend was screaming at me to save him. I feel like I could sense the moment he had passed. The ambulance came within a few minutes, but there was nothing they could do. His mother came a few days later to apologize and thank us for trying to save him. There was some police questioning and plenty of nightmares. It was been about 17 years and I still think about it often. Story 29. Not fast food but at a restaurant. I was the waiter for a nice, older couple and they ordered salads as an appetizer before their meal. After a couple minutes, the man calls me over and shows me the tip of a broken drill bit he bit into from his salad. Expecting a lawsuit, my heart skipped a beat and went into adrenaline mode as I quickly got the manager. Tom came over white-faced and apologized profusely while offering a few gift cards and comping their meal. Shockingly, the couple didn't threaten or get irate. Found out later that Tom had been drilling near the prep line in the kitchen earlier in the day to fix something and saw the drill bit snap but couldn't find the tip. The couple even tipped me well. You dodged a bullet, Tom. Story 30. I was working the drive-thru and gave the lady her food. Not 15 feet down the road from the window is a trash can and a sign that says, "Please do not litter." You can probably guess what happened next. She throws her wrapper right in front of me and as she drives off I say, "Are you kidding me?" Next thing I know I hear a screech of tires and hear a car door slam. She walks back to the window and starts to curse me out saying, "What the heck did you say? You throw your thrash on the ground too, don't bullshit me." I just point to the sign and say, "No, I throw my trash in the trash can like a normal human being, have a nice effing day," and shut and lock the window. Luckily, my manager was pretty chill and didn't care, and I just went about the rest of my day. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button and subscribe to Thread Talk for more content like this. Also, don't forget to turn on notifications so you never miss out. Have a dope day and we'll see you in the next video. Cheers!